Hello and welcome to the Stronghold Digital Mining Daily Update. Today's Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. Let's go and pull up the first slide, please. So this is a screenshot from a popular website that aggregates analyst ratings and analyst basically price targets for various companies. So as we can see for Stronghold Digital Mining, the average price target is $12 per share. The highest price target is $17. The lowest price target is $7. The stock price today, back to me now, please. The stock price today for Stronghold Digital Mining, I believe, closed at $4.95. So I think one can argue, right, that, hey, if you're a relatively short-term speculator, maybe you're somebody who's intrigued in the name Stronghold Digital Mining, but haven't really been sure, like what, Wall Street has to say about the name. I mean, it's kind of interesting when you see, the lowest price target is substantially above where we're trading at right now. Not dramatically above, but still enough that it might make it an interesting trade. If you have the courage to pick up shares at around $5 a share, want to flip them at $7, right? Hey, if you believe in that, this isn't my price target, right? This is, a highly qualified Wall Street professional has deemed, right, shares of Stronghold Digital Mining, right, to be worth, say, $7 a share. On the high end, it's 17. According to this website, it's the average is 12. So again, I'm sharing this because oftentimes I think it's pretty easy to lose sight of the fact that, there are Wall Street professionals who do cover, Stronghold Digital Mining. Now, would it be great if there were more coverage? Of course. Would it be spectacular if, we had perhaps a bit more talk about why some of these price targets, the why and the how some of these price targets have been arrived at? I think, that would be phenomenal. But in the absence of any additional information, we've got a number. We've got numbers to work with. $7 on the low end, $17 on the high end. So from my perspective, okay, I really do think that if you were to simply, and I shared this once before, if you go back to the first quarter, towards the end of the first quarter of 2022, there was an abundance of really bad news. We were basically getting right into a crypto winter. The U.S. Federal Reserve was embarking upon the process of raising interest rates. You really had a lot of bad news specific to Stronghold Digital Mining, which at the time was struggling to obtain Bitcoin mining machines from a vendor. So you had this abundance of not so good news, yet at the very end of the first quarter of 2022, the company had a market cap of upwards of $400 some odd million. So from my perspective, right, if you were to simply take a fresh look at the environment right now, we have a U.S. Federal Reserve that is likely going to begin the process of cutting interest rates, right? That's certainly not a guarantee they're going to do it, but it seems as if though we're getting the same kind of like opposite energy to that which we had at the very beginning of 2022, where the energy was like, hey, the Fed's going to start raising rates. That's going to be problematic. Now we're really starting to see, hey, the Fed is probably at this point going to start dropping rates, if not potentially even engaging in quantitative easing, if not called that, then perhaps by some other name. You've got a Stronghold Digital Mining that, far from struggling to acquire Bitcoin mining equipment, has like data centers that are just full of Bitcoin mining equipment. And the one thing that the company's doing now is saying, hey, during the month of January 2024, we're getting an additional 5,000 Bitcoin mining machines, presumably to further enhance the efficiency of our Bitcoin mining fleet. I mean, you've got a Bitcoin spot ETF, not just one, but multiple spot Bitcoin ETFs in the United States, so that if and when more and more capital starts, wanting to flow into Bitcoin, Bitcoin itself is now, so to speak, connected straight into Wall Street. You've got a lot of, generally speaking, very positive things as compared to the very end of the first quarter of 2022. So from my perspective, I don't think it's outlandish, nor do I think it's ridiculous or fantasy land to say, hey, maybe Stronghold Digital Mining should have a market cap similar to what it had at the very end of the first quarter of 2022. So, again, this is where, hey, look, markets are markets because people have different views on these types of things, right? But hey, forget about my perspective. If we look straight at what Wall Street professionals think, at a bare minimum, right, the price target, that's the lowest that's reflected on that price target aggregator website is $7 a share. We're trading at just under $5 a share. The upper end of that price target range from another coverage analyst is $17 a share. Again, we are currently trading at just under $5 a share. So I'll let you decide whether or not our current stock price is perhaps an interesting stock to look at insofar as potentially making a speculative investment in the company. Of course, not investment advice, but I mean, let's kind of keep it real. You look at a stock price that's under $5, and yet you see Wall Street talking about $7 price targets, $17 price targets. You maybe take into consideration the argument that I'm making about where this company was trading at the very end of Q1 2022 compared to where we're trading at now, when arguably all of our fundamentals are dramatically better than they were at the very end of Q1 2022. I think there's a plausible argument somewhere in the middle of all of that information. I think there's a plausible argument to be made that shares of Stronghold Digital Mining should be trading much, much higher than they're trading at right now. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Okay, my friend, let's stay positive, let's be great, and we'll see each other again tomorrow.